Nevin. I'm the outgoing president, and I want to thank you all for coming tonight. Before we actually start our meeting, we wanted to take a moment and introduce DC Councilmember Phil Mendelson, who is joining us here. And we'd like to ask Councilmember Mendelson to come up to the podium if he'd like and make a few remarks, as he has another event he needs to go to in a little bit. So we'll let him start before we actually start our meeting.
Thank you. Good evening. So apparently I am the, the warm up for the meeting. I have no idea if that's a good thing or not. I do want to thank you all for inviting me to be here. I was here last year, many years ago. I worked very closely with the Medical Society on issues. Some of you older timers might remember Physicians Negotiation Act. That was when I worked with, unfortunately, the control board vetoed that. So it's great to be here. I just kind of want to make a couple of general comments about my view of healthcare in the district. And before I go any further, I do want to acknowledge a colleague. I don't know if she's going to be introduced, but Mary Cheh from Ward 3. Thank you for being here. And Councilmember Cheh is stepping down at the end of this council period, which means in 2 months. So thank you for your service. I'll overlook that last remark. You know, as a city, we've done pretty well in terms of improving access to healthcare. But we fall short when it comes to health outcomes. We see a huge gap. It's economically related for the most part. And it's a challenge for us. How can we get more folks who need primary care to actually access the primary care? It's not enough that we have a pretty good health insurance program in the DC Alliance, which has been around for a while. I mean, and so we provide it's available, but people aren't utilizing it. And I don't know what the answer is, but organizations like the Medical Society can be very helpful to us in suggesting ways that we can improve health outcomes in this city by getting folks to use primary care, not 911, not the fire department, but to use primary care for their medical needs. And the other thought that I have is that, we have a number of teaching hospitals in the city. We have just outside our borders, a major healthcare research facility, the National Institutes. There's a lot of stuff happening in the city with regard to medicine and medical research. But I think we can, as a city, become much more of a center in the country. I don't know exactly how, and I have to say that although I'm chair of the council, I'm not chair of everything, and so health is not my specialty. But I just think as a city that we should be trying to get to the next step as a center in terms of healthcare, but also a center in terms of research. I often say this. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. I left Cleveland in 1970 to come here to go to college. When I left Cleveland, there was a small medical institution, the Cleveland Clinic. The last time I was in Cleveland, it's not so small. As I recall, it takes up most of the east side. And they're really on the healthcare map. And I just think that we could be doing so much more in this city. So I just have those two comments. I thank you for inviting me to be here. I think you all play a value, you all individually, but you all as a society play a valuable role in our policymaking in this city, as well as our healthcare, and I thank you for that.
All right, I think I'm to take this apart. All right, there we go. All right, good evening, everyone. Let me just take a moment and ask anyone who's standing, please feel free to come and sit. Any of the seats are open. If we have any board members or past presidents, if you don't mind taking a seat in the middle, that would be great. I think you are right there. Dr. Cheh, you are. All right, everybody. Well, welcome tonight. Welcome to our 205th anniversary. I hereby call the 2022 annual meeting of the Medical Society of the District of Columbia to order. It's good to see everyone who has joined us in person tonight, as well as all of you who are joining us online. First, I'd like to make a special welcome to our past presidents who are joining us in person and online. Dr. James Kobe, Byron Cooper, Julian Craig, Daniel Ein, E.W. Emanuel, Peter Levine, Desiree Pineda, Raymond Tu, and Raymond Scalatar. Next, I'll give a round of applause. Next, I'd also like to say a special thank you to our 2022 annual meeting supporters whose generous support have made tonight possible. Physician Committee for Responsible Medicine for supporting our opening reception, Vita Fitness for supporting our closing reception, CRISP DC, Janssen, Johns Hopkins Medicine, MedStar Family Choice, District of Columbia, and Prestige Healthcare Resources. Thanks also to our host committee who helped spread the word about the annual meeting. The committee is co-chaired by myself and Dr. Susanne Bathgate, and other members include Dr. Ann Halsey, Riwo Obo Wilkie, Teresa Stone, Raymond Tu, and Ashish Patel. I welcome you all of you tonight, and thank you for attending the 2022 annual meeting of the Medical Society of DC. We met here 1 year ago in a show of resilience and commitment to our profession, and it's good to see our physician community come together again. Your medical society is growing in size with now over 3,200 members, impact, connection, and fortitude. This year was marked by multiple new events and milestones. We launched our Healthy Physician Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to well-being. Along with its creation as an entity, it was accompanied by a dedicated website, a mobile app, and expanded program offerings to our community. Vita Fitness continues to be a supporter of the MSDC wellness programs. We continue to face persistent challenges to our collective well-being. MSDC's Healthy Physician Program is resolved to support each and every one of us, whether your challenges lie in career satisfaction, work-life balance, or in an otherwise personal realm. Physicians cannot heal their patients or lead their healthcare team if they do not tend to themselves. MSDC has partnered with the top minds in our nation's capital to help you practice at your best. We also launched a mentorship program dedicated to medical students who are the future of our medicine. We are actively recruiting mentors and encourage everyone here to consider volunteering to share some of your time and expertise. You all have something unique to offer. We were also very busy with task force work throughout the year. The Gender Equity Task Force was created to address issues, including pay equity. The Minor Consent Task Force was created to address minor consent bills, whose recommendations were included this year in DC legislation. MSDC was invited to join the newly created Mayor's Task Force on the healthcare workforce. Our work with DC Council has included 2 bills introduced by MSDC, one regarding copay accumulators and the other prior authorization. MSDC also successfully lobbied DC Council with colleagues to add money to the DC budget for more licensing specialists to work with DC Health to enable the improvement of this process. We also continue to strengthen our collaboration with both DC Council and DC Health. DC Health most recently invited MSDC to hold our September board meeting at their offices, and Dr. Sharon Lewis, the interim director, along with other DC Health leadership, provided an informative presentation. Multiple ongoing and planned projects were discussed at this meeting. As part of our ongoing advocacy agenda, MSDC continues to champion reproductive health and work to promote access to healthcare across all 8 wards of our city. We also addressed healthcare affordability, various public health measures, and medical practice sustainability. On April 29th, we held our first ever Capital Healthcare Honors Program at the National Press Club with over 100 attendees. The 4 awards presented were the Certificate of Meritorious Service to Dr. Sarah Immershine, the Charles H. Epps Community Service Award to Dr. Princey Kumar, the John Benjamin Nichols Award to Mary Center, and the Distinguished Service Award to Dr. Desiree Pineda. We just take a moment to congratulate those people. We also welcomed Unity Insurance as a new partner. Unity will work with our members to assist with multiple affordable and effective insurance options. I would now like to just take a moment to acknowledge and thank our members who volunteer their time and expertise for our various committees and task forces. We have the early career section, which is led by Dr. Matthew Lacaire, Dr. Angela Wu, and medical student Nicholas Layton. We have the women in medicine section led by Dr. Cheh and Dr. Monica Massinam. The private practice section led by Dr. John Dombrowski and Dr. Neil Barnard. The advocacy committee chaired by Dr. Clint Peebles. The well-being committee chaired by Dr. Desiree Pineda. Physicians Health Committee chaired by Dr. Charles Samanow. Membership Committee chaired by Dr. E.W. Emanuel. Finance Committee chaired by Dr. Raymond Tu. And the MSDC Task Force on Family Violence, which is led by Dr. Kim Bullock. The Gender Equity Task Force led by Dr. Clint Peebles and Dr. Jaya Casaranini. Unconscious Bias Task Force led by Dr. Matthew Lacaire. And the Bylaws Task Force led by Dr. Lori Duncan. I'd like to take a moment to thank our board of directors and our AMA delegation. Our chairman of the board is Dr. Desiree Pineda. Our at-large directors are Doctors Julian Craig, Lori Duncan, Anthony Ebay, Ashish Patel, Teresa Stone, and Doc Winston. AMA delegates are Doctors Peter Levine and Raymond Tu. AMA alternate delegates are Doctors Neil Barnard, E.W. Emanuel, and Matthew Lacaire. I hope this gives you all some insight into the work MSDC has accomplished over this past year. None would be possible without the support and effort of our fantastic staff. Robert Hay, our Executive Vice President, Pia Duria, our Director of Engagement, and Rose Smith, our Comptroller. In conclusion, I wish to thank you all for your continued support of the Society and your personal altruism, strength, and resilience during these difficult times. Now, I'd like to take a moment to introduce Dr. Rosalind Epps, President of MSAF, for an update on their activities. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Epps.
Good evening. And first, I'd like to congratulate you on a wonderful, fantastic year. Thank you very much for your leadership. I'd like to call to order the annual meeting of the Medical Society and Alliance Foundation Incorporated, also known as MESAF. MESAF is a nonprofit foundation incorporated in 1978. The purpose of MESAF includes promotion of public health through supporting scientific and medical research, and to provide financial assistance to students, physicians, and medical institutions. All members of MSDC and the Alliance are members of MESAF. MESAF manages several restricted funds and awards grants and scholarships. Since our last meeting, MESAF released $30,000 to MSDC to support the Medical Society of DC Physician Health Program and $20,000 to support the well-being initiatives. $8,000 was awarded from funds established by Drs. Everett J. Gordon and Leon S. Gordon. Additionally, the Medical Society and Alliance Scholarship has resumed since the pandemic. 4 outstanding students from Trinity Washington University and Catholic University were awarded scholarships, and you'll hear more about them at the awards ceremony next spring. I would like to acknowledge our MSAF board members, Vice President Christy Hay, Secretary Treasurer Ellen Gold, at-large board members James Kobe and Victor Freeman and E.W. Emanuel. Also, we would like to remember the long service of dedicated MSAF board member Dr. Ray Band, who passed away this year. Finally, special appreciation is given to the MSAF Administrator Rose Smith and the MSDC staff. So in 2021-2022, MSAF contributed over $64,000 to MSDC initiatives and medical programs. And MSAF looks forward to future awards and educational activities and your support. A gift to MSAF supports MSDC and health initiatives and is fully tax deductible. This concludes the 2022 MSAF annual meeting, and I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Epps. All right. Now I'd like to introduce the chair of the Healthy Physician Foundation, MSDC's foundation dedicated to wellness and well-being. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Susanne Bathgate.
Good evening. Physician burnout has been acknowledged as a public health crisis over the past several years. Physician burnout has been described as the triad of emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, and feelings of reduced personal accomplishment, and has been attributed to the result of overwhelming demands in the face of insufficient resources and support, perhaps individually modified by personal resilience. Burnout results in anxiety, depression, exhaustion, both emotional and physical, sleep deprivation, and loss of cognitive function, not to mention loss of productivity and increased healthcare costs. Most alarming is the rate of suicide, which is greater than that of the general public and even greater than that of combat veterans. Solution and prevention strategies involve both individual and systemic efforts. Physician Heal Thyself is not adequate. The importance of collegiality and mentorship cannot be emphasized enough. We must commit to reaching out to and accepting the help of others. We must see this all as part of professionalism. Sustainable change needs to involve both the infrastructure of our healthcare system to identify and ultimately prevent physician burnout. At MSDC, we established the Healthy Physician Foundation, which is an affiliated charitable organization dedicating to addressing and preventing the moral injury in the physician population, with a specific focus on the DC area. This organization exists to provide programs, resources, and community to our profession. The foundation manages two critical programs, MSDC's wellness program and the physician health program for physicians dealing with addiction. By the way, we got pretty lucky, I think, and our webpage is healthyphysician.org. So if you would like more information, healthyphysician.org. At the 2021 annual meeting, we announced the launch of the new Healthy Physician Foundation. This year, we've been bringing the foundation to life. As the wellness crisis has deepened in our community, the foundation has positioned itself to meet the need. We offer wellness in your hand and the Healthy Physician app. So that is an app that has information about programs, about healthy physician resources. We've offered physician-focused programming like our spring Bonsai Museum tour and our November culinary medicine live stream discussion. So you're all encouraged to look at our programming and participate. We're supporting and growing the physician health program for physicians facing addiction need who need advocacy and support, another function. We have some exciting things for 2023, but we want to hear from you. Tell me or Dr. Patel how the foundation can help you and your peers. And finally, help support the foundation. Support by donations or through the silent auction. As you passed into the room, you saw the QR code and can support by bidding on items there and winning some fun things. And please help support the foundation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Bathgate. The charitable work that you just heard about is part of the value that the Medical Society provides. Another important service is, of course, MSDC's advocacy work on behalf of physicians and your patients before DC Council. We work closely with the DC Council, particularly the Committee on Health and their staff, and we were very sorry to hear that a longtime partner on the council will be stepping down at the end of December. I'm talking about Councilmember Mary Cheh, who has joined us here tonight. Mary Cheh has served as the Ward 3 member of the Council of the District of Columbia since 2007. In that time, she has worked tirelessly to improve the quality of life for her constituents and all of the residents of the district. She has passed model legislation safeguarding the environment, improving public health, preserving tenants' rights, and securing fair treatment for consumers. Mary has introduced numerous measures to protect the health of DC residents, especially children. In 2008, she passed the groundbreaking Healthy Schools Act, a comprehensive law addressing the childhood obesity epidemic in the District of Columbia. The law has become a national model for improving nutrition standards in schools and the workplace. Some of Mary's other health initiatives include protecting residents from hospital-acquired infections, assuring fair reimbursement of telemedicine and chemotherapy delivery methods, whether intravenous or by pill, and greater availability and support for HIV testing. Mary is a tenured constitutional law and criminal procedure professor at George Washington University Law School and a member and former chair of the George Washington Law Public Interest Committee. Councilmember Cheh is a Phi Beta Kappa graduate of Douglas College and received her law degrees from Rutgers and Harvard. She has lived in DC's Ward 3 for over 30 years, where she raised her two daughters, Jane and Nora, who are also both attorneys. Says something. All right. Please join me in recognizing Councilmember Cheh's years of service as we welcome her to the podium for a brief message to the physician community.
Well, good evening, everybody. And I was delighted to be invited here today. I know many of you on a personal basis, not just because I have many ailments, but because I've had help from many of you and the society in general over the course of my time on the council. And we have shared, a goal, and that goal is to ensure health, good health and access to health facilities for all of our people. And as the chairman said, we have a lot of work to do there, but we have been making progress across the board. Oh, and by the way, about my daughters, I have a silly joke. People say, they ask me about my children and I say, well, they didn't have good parenting. They're both lawyers. So anyway, think about it a little bit and you'll see what I'm talking about. I have been on the council for 16 years. And at the same time, I've had my full-time professorship at GW. And there comes a time when I think it's appropriate to let someone else take over. And I felt that time was here, especially now that I'm Nana to my little granddaughter, and I want to spend more time with her. So that was part of the decision making. But I have to say, I've always viewed my service on the council and being elected for all of those years. I don't know what people were thinking, but anyway, I always viewed it as a gift, a great gift, because it put me in a position where I could do things that I thought were helpful to people. And I've tried to use that gift in many ways. I passed hundreds of pieces of legislation. In fact, I was at a meeting, something like this, with this number of people, and some gentleman raised his hand and he said, I have an idea for legislation. I said, oh, what is it? And he told me it was not a big deal, but something modest. And I said, that is a good idea and I'll look into it. And then another person raised his hand and said, Councilmember, you already did that. I said, I told you it was a good idea. But in any case, not, by any means a catalog or an inventory. But among some of the things that, I'm particularly happy with that we were able to accomplish was one of them to make insurance companies pay for telemedicine. And this was way back before it became such a thing. And speaking of insurance companies, the decade-long and even longer effort joined with private attorneys and also the Appleseed nonprofit to get Care First to disgorge itself of its outrageous surpluses. And they fought us all along the way, but finally, through a settlement just, a couple of years ago, we got $100 million. Yeah, that is for public health in the District of Columbia. That's where that money should have gone. But in addition, I mean, there have been many other things, helping people have greater control and decision-making over their end-of-life decisions. We've passed legislation and furnished money for many programs. The Healthy Schools Act was just one of, my staff laughs at me. I've had the Healthy Schools Act, the Healthy Parks Act, the Healthy Tots Act, the Healthy This Act. I wanted to get the Healthy Hospitals Act done before I left office. It may languish there because it's in a committee, the chairman of which is not keen on it, but I expect others to pick it up after I'm gone. But, not gone, but not on the council. And speaking of nutrition and its central role, here's a little program, just a little one, but I just love it. It's called, a Produce RX. We fund a program whereby low-income people, if they have medical conditions like hypertension or other things, for which what they eat matters, because food is medicine. And under this program, I just love this program, that person can get a prescription from his or her doctor and go to farmers markets, but also to the Giant in Ward 8, and the Giant has been a wonderful partner here, and get $20 of fresh produce every week. And Giant went the extra mile. They carved out an area over there in Ward 8 and have hired a nutritionist who helps the folks figure out what to do with this produce, how to eat it, and how to eat better. Things of that nature. It's an ecosystem that we're in, and people, to be fully healthy, have to be healthy, in terms of their environment, in terms of their medical care. And by the way, it's very important, as Dr. Bathgate mentioned, that you all stay healthy. Please stay healthy. Think about your own health. It's like when you're a parent, you're not a very good parent if you're not healthy. You're not a very good parent to your children. That's how you have to think of this. So you have to stay healthy. And there have been many, many other things that I'm very proud of. And I want to say, and the reason why I really wanted to be able to come tonight is I wanted to say, you all have been a great partner to me and a great partner to the council. And I want to thank you for the work that you've done and the work that you're going to continue to do. So thank you for that. And thank you for inviting me. And I'll step away now. There you go.
Thank you, Councilmember Cheh. All right, I am pleased to announce the 2022 leadership election results, which were elected by quorum of the voting membership. The results are also listed on page 9 of your program. To our newly elected leadership, please stand as I call your name. President-elect, Dr. Ashish Patel. AMA delegates, Dr. Peter Levine and Dr. Raymond Tu. AMA alternate delegates, Dr. Matthew Lekire and Dr. Megan Schott. And directors at large, Dr. Julian Craig, Dr. E.W. Emanuel, and Dr. Clint Peebles. Congratulations to all of you. I would like the rest of the board members to stand as well for a moment, just for recognition, please. If our board could stand. Now, for the moment you're all waiting for, me too, for the installation of our new president. Dr. Susanne Bathgate. Come up, Dr. Bathgate. All right, we're going to do the oath of office. And I'm going to read it for you. All right, please raise your right hand. Okay. I, Dr. Susanne Bathgate, do solemnly swear
I, Dr. Susanne Bathgate, do solemnly swear
that I will carry out the duties of the office of the President of the Medical Society of the District of Columbia to the best of my ability.
that I will carry out the duties of the office of the President of the Medical Society of the District of Columbia to the best of my ability.
I will constantly strive to maintain the ethics of the medical profession.
I will constantly strive to maintain the ethics of the medical profession.
I will dedicate myself and my office
I will dedicate myself and my office
to improving the health standards of the people of the District of Columbia,
to improving the health standards of the people of the District of Columbia,
to bringing improved medical care within reach of each citizen,
to bringing improved medical care within reach of each citizen,
that at all times I will uphold the Constitution and bylaws of the Medical Society of the District of Columbia.
at all times I will uphold the Constitution and bylaws of the Medical Society of the District of Columbia.
Thank you. All right. Well done. Congratulations. Make sure I didn't have anything else I needed to say. Okay. Oh, here we go. Take over. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Nevin, and I'd like to take this time to present you with a symbol of our appreciation for your leadership and service over the past year in the Medical Society of the District of Columbia. As the president, it's been an honor to have you as the leader of the Medical Society, and we are all very grateful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to say a couple words of appreciation to our outgoing board member, Lori Duncan. Colleagues, friends, distinguished guests, thank you very much for devoting this time to MSDC's annual meeting. MSDC has a rich history as an organization that supports physicians and their ability to provide excellent medical care for the residents of the District of Columbia. Now more than ever, it is important to come together for advocacy, fellowship, mentorship, collaboration, and celebration. You've already heard about MSDC's advocacy efforts and successes. We are greatly appreciative of our collaboration with DC government elected and appointed officials and leaders of DC health organizations. However, the work is not finished. On the top of my list of advocacy priorities for my term is protecting the ability of providers to offer comprehensive health care. As a maternal fetal medicine specialist, I care for pregnant people with complications, sometimes life-threatening complications, or conditions with fetuses not destined to survive. I'm grateful for the liberties that exist in DC for counseling and providing reproductive choices for these individuals and all DC residents, but I'm well aware that these privileges have come under attack and vanished in other parts of the country, leaving our most vulnerable pregnant people and their families without the choices and care that they need. Without conscious and sustained effort, this care may disappear for DC residents as well. We must continue to oppose constraints on medical practice like unwieldy pre-authorization, unnecessary licensing restrictions, and reciprocal sanctions on DC medical licenses and malpractice insurance for providers that perform legal procedures such as abortion and gender affirming care in other states. We must continue to work for equity in healthcare in the district. Opioid overdoses kill about 3 times as many people in DC each year as compared to gun violence. We must work to promote measures to reduce these deaths. We must continue to advocate for access to healthcare across DC. In particular, I'm excited for our new Cedar Hill facility that's coming. Equity and healthcare justice are themes behind these advocacy efforts. Equity for DC residents that we care for, gender pay equity, unconscious bias awareness, healthcare equity, and equity for our providers. We have so much work to do. On mentorship, I wouldn't be the person that I am today without the investment in me from those who came before me. Most known to this crowd would be my mentor and friend, former MSDC President John, known as Jack Larson, who introduced me to MSDC some years ago and encouraged me to take part in leadership. And I thank him for this. I know that he is looking down upon me and MSDC members from his final resting place and encouraging us in our work. Also, he always loved a good party, so he'd be having a good time here tonight. I stand on the shoulders of other recent MSDC leaders like Dr. Raymond Tu, Desiree Pineda, Dr. Emmanuel, Dr. Nevin, Dr. Scaletta, and others, and I hope to continue the work that they started. I stand on the shoulders of our founders 205 years ago, but also on those in more recent generations who stood up to the oppressive policies and opened MSDC membership to physicians of all genders and all races. We have the opportunity to share our experience with the next generation of providers and leaders that follow us. And I'm so proud of the role that MSDC can play in this. At this stage of my life, easing the path for the next generation is a special priority and has taken on special importance. I am proud that MSDC has formed the Early Career Physicians Group, and we have our newly formed mentorship program. And I also encourage any who can to volunteer in that program. On well-being and fellowship, these past few years have been really, really hard. So many of my colleagues have experienced burnout, retired early, or left practice in DC. It is so important to support each other. I came across this quote by Robert Ingersoll: "We rise by lifting others." When we help others, our lives take on more meaning and purpose. This evening, talk to your old friends, make some new friends, make some new connections, and look out for each other. In closing, please share your ideas with me and let me know what I can do to help make DC the best place to practice medicine. Have a great evening and thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bathgate. Our meeting is now adjourned. Before closing, I again want to thank the Medical Society's entire leadership team, the Board of Directors, committee leaders, and society staff for their dedication, their innovation, and their tireless work on your behalf. Thank you again to our corporate partners and all the organizations that have provided support to the Medical Society of DC. For our guests here in person and online, time is running out to bid on the silent auction. We have one-of-a-kind books, a facial, tickets to Capital One Arena, and more, but the auction closes at 9. Place your bid through the Healthy Physician app, and remember, all the proceeds go to the Healthy Physician Foundation and support MSDC's well-being efforts. Also, as a reminder, our early career physicians will have a get-together right after this meeting adjourns. Your meeting will take place in the small conference room on this floor. Finally, thank you all for taking the time tonight to be with us. Enjoy the closing reception, the live music, the mingling. Don't forget to get more involved in your medical society so we can work together to make DC the best place to practice medicine. Thank you.